I'm Rob Value. This video is going to be about whether life is a test or not. This is kind of an old school religious thing that tends to get downplayed a little bit these days. But there's this idea that life could be a test, that this God character is seeing what you do in your life and then judging you and then deciding what to do with you after that. And people differ over what exactly happens, where you get sent, whatever, heaven, hell, or different types of heaven and nothing, whatever. It's a test, and your ultimate fate depends on what you do during this life, okay? So I've got three possibilities. We've got life is just a test, that's all that matters about it. Or it's a test and the experience is important in some way. Or it's not a test at all. Now, first of all, if life is a test, that's fucked up. That's just... I would hate that. That's bollocks, and I'm not interested. So, even if I knew life was a test, I'm not taking part in it. It's fucked up. Unless God wants to come and explain to me what exactly the point of the test is. If it's just to decide what he's going to do with me, this is just fucking around for his amusement. He's just made a load of life forms, seeing what they do under conditions that he's made, and then just throws them in different boxes and does different stuff with them. Fuck you, I'm not interested. As long as I've got free will or ability to think for myself, I'll do what I think is right, and if you don't agree with that, too bad. Okay, so that's my opinion of it, life being a test. But the thing is, if life is a test, or even partly a test, that kind of sorts out the problem of evil straight away. It's just like, well, why is there evil? Because life's a test. Evil's part of the test. There you go. God's already been a dick by testing you. So introducing evil into it doesn't, make him much more of a dick. So, to use the analogy, if life is just a test, like you're sitting in an exam hall, and I'm going through the paper, I'm doing the test, right? And he's going to mark it at the end. We don't know why he's doing this, just for his own amusement, apparently. So if that's the case, the conditions I'm in while I'm in the test isn't that important. I wouldn't be expecting people to bring me champagne and things while I'm doing the test. But neither would I expect people to come and twat me in the face when I'm doing it. Because, the thing is, you would imagine that you'd want a test to be fair. But, no one can agree what the criteria are anyway. No one. It's just everyone says something different. Even people in the same religion say what the criteria are different. But let's say it involves being Christian for one thing. Say that's part of the requirement. Then the test is obviously a lot easier for anyone who gets born into Christianity. All they've got to do is just believe what they're told, and that's it. And they're passed. They might have to do some other stuff as well, maybe. But they've been given almost all the answers. It's like someone slipped them the answer sheet, and they're like, well, this is the answers to questions 1 to 9. You've just got to do question 10, right? Like poor little me, who's wasn't raised Christian. I haven't got the answers to those questions. I've got to figure out what the right religion is, if there is one. And it's even worse if you're born into another religion, because you've been given the wrong answers. Someone's going to go, here's the answers, and you're meant to realise that they're wrong somehow, even though they just look exactly the same. But the whole test thing doesn't make any sense in any regard, because then you've got the horrible shit going on as part of the test. Well, you could say that's sort of trick questions or something, but again, it's not a level playing field. Some people have horrible shit happen to them all the time, and some people have quite an easy existence, so following any rules for them is a lot easier. But again, no one knows what the rules are anyway. Which makes the whole thing stupid. But then you've got a baby who's born with AIDS and then dies very quickly. What's the deal with that? What kind of test was that? That's the equivalent of I'm sitting at my exam table, I'm just about to start. Someone comes up behind me, Agent 47 comes and garrots me, and I'm dead. As a test over. I didn't finish the test, I didn't even start it. So then what? They go, oh well, it wasn't fair that you didn't get Even though I'm the one who sent ISIS from 47 after you, it's not really fair. You didn't finish your test, so I'll just say you passed. If he says that, well, that's not fair to anyone else, is it? I mean, you know, in this comparison, the fact that I'm dead doesn't really matter because I'm now being transported to this amazing, wonderful afterlife or whatever, and I haven't even done anything. Whereas everyone else has to answer all the questions, but I don't. So how's that fair? And if you're just going to say, well, God isn't fair, well, he's a fucking dick, isn't he? I mean, we're establishing he's a dick. There doesn't seem to be much of a question about that. Yeah, so the test just isn't fair, depending on how you look at it. And if you say life is a test, and it's to do with the experience, that's sort of like, okay, you're sitting the exam, but there's a playroom next door, and you can sort of walk out halfway through the exam, play with some toys, and come in and do a bit more of the exam. Go out, play with some toys, have a drink, do some things, go back, do the exam. I mean, what the hell is this? Why? Fucking why? I mean, the reason you have tests is to learn something important, or maybe because you just enjoy doing the test. You know, you do like a little quiz just because you want to do a quiz. So, I mean, the first thing about tests is that you get the consent of the people involved. If I'm going to do a test on someone, then I would expect that they're going to agree to it beforehand. I wouldn't just grab them and say, right, you know, I'm doing this test on you, and then I'm going to decide what happens based on the results. Go, well, that's the actions of a maniac, isn't it? Yeah. So, you know, he wouldn't decide that was acceptable